Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been so long since I've uploaded a video, but I'm so excited to bring you this video because I have been waiting so long to actually create this one. Also, quick disclaimer, I put castor oil in my hair this morning and that was the worst decision I've ever made. I'm not doing that in the morning ever again. Only put castor oil in your hair at night because it is so greasy. So if you see me adjusting or changing my hair through this whole bloody video, it's because my hair is so sticky. Anyway, who knows, I might end up tying my hair halfway through this video. But let's do this. First product, now this is the CeraVe, whatever you want to call it, hydrating cleanser. During ISO, I got really addicted to TikTok. It's all dermatologists would ever talk about on these informative TikTok videos and they rave about it. Everyone uses it. And so I was like, let's go suss the hype because if everyone's got it, I need to see why it's so good. And to be honest with you, before ISO, there were only certain brands that I would purchase from. Drunk Elephant obviously is a no-brainer. I used to always just repurchase the same moisturizer, but during ISO, I've given myself a chance to actually try alternative brands that I would never touch. And CeraVe is not in the category of what I would have normally tried because I'm not really into drugstore products, so to speak. I've always been like, the more luxe, the better. But I feel like I've just done a full 180 during ISO. I've discovered a lot of things that I really love, so I'm a bit less of a snob now. But I do definitely think there is quality products out there when you pay more money, but that's not to say that you cannot have a good skincare routine if you don't spend money. From the get-go, from the very first cleanse that I tried it on, I fell in love. I came home and I tried it straight away. I just used it to take off the day's dirt and it was incredible. It doesn't foam up, so if you like a foaming cleanser, this is off your list. You will not like it. So I use this straight after my oil cleanser as a final wash to clean my skin, to nourish my skin, and also just to take off the residue of any cleansing oil that's left over on the skin. This is so amazing. I love it. It's super gentle. It says it has ceramides and hyaluronic acid. Ceramides essentially helps retain moisture in the skin and it strengthens the skin barrier because moisture can tend to evaporate from the skin if you don't have a strong skin barrier. So ceramides pretty much fills the cracks and helps you keep the moisture in, and hyaluronic acid will help pull moisture into the skin. But this is fantastic for anybody with really irritated skin, really dry skin. Even if you've got normal skin, it's fantastic as well. The only people I wouldn't recommend this for is probably anybody with combo to oily skin that really wants to get that oil slick off the face, because this won't do that. But what it does is it won't leave your skin dry. And I've been spending about $30, $40, $50 sometimes on a cleanser, and to be honest with you, this has completely changed the game. I used to always use the Ren cleansers, which are really beautiful as well, and I know a lot of people still really love them, but for me, the Ren cleansing milk is almost exactly the same as this, and for half the price and even less, I would just purchase this. And when I'm done with this, I'm just going to purchase a really big bottle because this has just changed the game for me. The Inkey List Oat Cleansing Balm. Once again, I saw this one on TikTok and people really loved it. I was really excited for this because it wasn't expensive at all. I had such high hopes for this because I have been going through tubs and tubs of the Drunk Elephant cleansing balm, which I am obsessed with. It melts like butter. It melts into like a really beautiful oil without even having to rub it too much. It just melts as soon as it touches your face. I will talk about the pros of this. It melts like butter, just like the Drunk Elephant one. I loved it. From the first use, I was like, holy shit, this is an absolute game changer. I absolutely loved the way it melted into my skin. It broke down the makeup. So as you guys would probably have seen my Instagram, for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks straight, I was like pumping out looks every like day, or if not every second day maybe. And I was always taking off my makeup and always washing my face. And I found that when I used this, it really irritated my skin after like the end of the first week, and by the second week I could really tell that something was not right. When my skin shows irritation, it shows irritation around the mouth area. It's raised and it's quite red, but to the naked eye you can't really see it too much. But for myself, when I move very close into the mirror, I can see it's very textured around here, and it's kind of like my way of knowing when my skin is like not accepting a product very well. So this product here, by the end of the first week and by the second week, it just was not sitting well with my skin. Honestly, I couldn't really figure out what product it was that was making my skin react, because I was trying so many new things. I was like, oh, here we go. Like, what could it potentially be? And one, I think some part of it was my fault as well. I was using a very rough cotton cloth to take off my makeup, because this is quite a rich balm and you sometimes just need a bit of help from a soft cotton cloth. And I should have been using muslin cloths, but instead I was just using like a Kmart towel, which I've used for a while, but I've noticed that probably I should stop because it's a little bit too rough. Also, another thing is, if you can see, it has oats in it. The oats in here aren't chunky like kernels or anything like that. It's like oat flour. So if you think of flour, it's not very rough. But when you're doing a double cleanse with this every single day, that oat flour honestly really irritated my skin. It was really abrasive, and this is made for sensitive skin because oats are meant to be really calming and soothing for sensitive or irritated skin, but this did the complete opposite. Another con with this is that it absolutely stinks. If you're not used to unfragranced products, which I am, so it didn't bother me, but even when I had this first whiff of it, I was like, ugh. It will not go down well with you. It just does not smell pleasant. I don't even know what the hell it is. It's just unfragranced. If you do not like unfragranced products, you will bloody hate this because it smells like shit. Okay, so next up, my skin was really irritated from using that cleanser, and then on top of that I was using a retinol here and there, which was so strong, and it was just like a big spiral of my skin being irritated, and I knew I had to sort of bounce back in some way. So I cut out the cleanser, I cut out some of the retinol that I was using. So I made a big purchase on Paula's Choice of all these things that I wanted to try, and in that haul was the Paula's Choice Triple Algae Pollution Shield. So I knew I wanted something that would be an alternative to my Essence 27 serum that I had been using, which is really high in antioxidants. We all need a serum that's high in antioxidants to protect our skin. So that can be a vitamin C, which not everybody will tolerate, or just something like Essence 27 that I was using, or something like this. So this is from Paula's Choice, and I had used Paula's Choice years and years and years ago. The product I used was the BHA Exfoliant, which is something that I'll review next. I first used it because I saw Nadia Batal rave about it, and this was years ago, before she was even like a really famous influencer, and I was just following her because I don't know, I was really obsessed with wags for a while. I don't know why, I really just don't care anymore. She recommended Paula's Choice, and at the time, I can't even remember what results I got from her. I was just like trying things all over the place, and they've really managed to revamp the entire brand. Whoever's doing their branding and their social media strategy is killing it, because they've just popped out of nowhere again. So the purpose of this serum really is to protect your skin from free radicals, which you'll find in the air, and pollution is a free radical as well. So it is a very nice gel texture. I really loved it. I think anybody with any skin type can use this, to be honest with you. It's just a nice extra step to protect your skin during the day. I've been using it day and night actually, because I really like the texture, and it's not heavy, and it offers a little bit more hydration on top of your moisturizer as well, without that heavy oily density. I really liked it, so I definitely want to purchase again. I don't know if it made a huge difference, but it's really hard to say with products that are high in antioxidants. It's just there to protect the skin, so there are no visible signs of it working, but just as like a in-case product, I'm probably going to keep it in there for myself, but would recommend. All right, next up I have the Indeed Laboratories Hydraluron Intense Moisture Lotion. So I purchased this when I was panicking and I didn't have a moisturizer, so I ran into Priceline. I was like, I'll just purchase it, and I didn't have time to wait for shipping, so I just quickly went in and I just bloody grabbed this. I fucking hate it. So I saw that it had hyaluronic acid in there. I was just like, you know what, whatever, I'll take whatever I can get. The texture is very light. It's almost like a very lightweight cream, but it's not a gel, so it's somewhere in between a really rich cream and a gel. This product, from the first night that I used it, it balled with everything that I used it with. I was like, okay, maybe it won't work with the oil, and I did a little test on my hand on the side with the cream and the oil, and that just completely balled up, and I was like, okay, that's probably why. Next night I used it without the oil and it still balled up with all the products that I had on underneath. So I just really didn't enjoy this. So I'm using this on my neck at the moment. Anything I don't really like for my face, I just save it for my neck anyway. But it's a no for me. I really didn't like this, and there weren't a lot of reviews on it, so I was just like, whatever, I'll take the plunge. And that is the problem with not reading reviews. Sometimes you just do it. It's just like, screw it, you might find a gem, but this was not a gem. Sorry. Okay, so the next product I have is the ordinary 10% niacinamide and the 1% zinc. Now, this was a really great product. If I'm just gonna cut to the chase, get to the point, it was a beautiful product, great texture, any skin type can use it. There is no oil in it. It's just really nice serum-y slip. You need to use it correctly. Now, I'm kind of glad I used it incorrectly because I can now tell you how not to use it. Niacinamide in general, from what I knew before, was that it was very high in antioxidant, protects the skin, and if you get it to a certain percentage, anything above 10%, it can be a very anti-aging ingredient in the sense that it will help dark spots, scarring. So this will assist a lot of people in a very similar way that vitamin C does. It helps with scarring and dark spots and skin tone unevenness. And so I got way too excited with using this one. I used it for the first 2 weeks, day and night, every single day. And let me tell you something, by the end of the 2 weeks, my skin reacted in the same way that it did when I was using this cleanser every single day. It started to get really raw and red around here. It just was really irritated. Everything I put on top of it was so irritated when I used a glycolic toner, which I'll review next. It just pretty much felt like my skin was ripping off. This just was just way too strong in the way that I was using it. But in the first 3 or 4 days, I knew that I already loved the product. In summary, I'm just gonna list out the pros. It really helped brighten my skin, helped change the texture. Even by the 3rd or 4th day, I noticed my skin was starting to change a little bit. It was getting much smoother. The texture is fantastic. It is a lightweight gel texture. The cons of this is that there really is none. The price is definitely another pro as well. It is very, very cheap. But would I recommend? Held to the yes. Just don't be an idiot and use it like I did. I really overdid it, but I'm kind of glad I have a story to tell, so now you don't do it. So now we're kind of heading back into the Paula's Choice range. So this is one of the most popular products on Paula's Choice. It's the BHA, 2% BHA I should say, liquid exfoliant. For years and years and years, I've been using the Dr. Dennis Gross peel pads, and for me, those just do everything. It has an AHA, it has a BHA, it has retinol in there. So it does everything for me, and I've recently run out of it, so I thought I'd just try something different. Now this is the BHA on its own, and it's a nice small bottle, so if you don't want to purchase a full size, this is fantastic for you to try out, and it's not like you're going to be using it every day. So this has lasted me quite some time. I don't think I've even gone through half of it. The texture is really, really interesting. It's almost like a liquid when you pour it out, but once you pop it onto the skin, it is almost like an oil texture. BHAs tend to be very drying because what it does is it helps clean out the inside of your pore, and it's quite strong. However, this formula doesn't feel drying on the skin because it's not like a water-based texture. It has a really nice oil slip to it. The way I use this was I pop it in the cotton pad and I would use it all over the center of my forehead, down the nose, around the nose. I kind of just leave the sides of my face because it doesn't really break out or doesn't have that many whiteheads or anything like that, so I don't want to overstrip the skin if I don't need to. So I just focus it on in the center. A lot of people use it all over the face. It really depends on you, but this is just how I use it. Or I'll do a spot treatment. I'll put it on a cotton tip and then I press it into the specific areas, and that works really, really well as well. What that does is it stops you from over exfoliating the skin, because if you've already done one sweep in the week with this, you don't want to be doing it every time you have a breakout. You just want to do it in specific spots or areas, especially if you don't break out anywhere else on the skin. You don't need to be using it all the time. But would I recommend this? Absolutely. I really, really like it. For me, I don't break out too often, to be honest with you, and so it's just a maintenance product. I do get a lot of blackheads. I haven't found that it's really done a crazy lot for me in that sense, but I've noticed that when I do get that one random breakout here and there, it really helps make it move along faster. So I would recommend. Paula's Choice is so inexpensive as well, which is great. So I've decided to just tie my hair up because it's been really distracting of me trying to fix my greasy hair. So hopefully I don't have to touch it anymore. Anyway, moving on to the next product. So this is the Paula's Choice Skin Smoothing Retinol Body Treatment. And I really, really liked this. I really loved it. It's probably not necessary to have, and it was $30 something. I just want to protect my chest area. We tend to age first around the face and the neck. The areas that I've been using it in have been my neck, chest, shoulders, around here, under my boob as well. The texture is fantastic. It does smell a little bit funny because once again, I don't think Paula's Choice really uses any fragrance in her products, but texture is great. It's hydrating. I've noticed that the texture of my skin is quite even. Not that I had any pigmentation or sunspots before, but I just noticed the tone around the neck area has been quite even. I don't know if it's just my mind playing tricks or what it is, or if it's because I haven't fake tanned in a really long time and there's nothing left over anymore, but I like this. Necessary? No. Could you buy the ordinary retinol and mix it into your body moisture? Most likely, but sometimes you just want to have something pre-mixed that's already made. And yeah, so for those of you who don't know what retinol is, it pretty much speeds up the skin cell turnover. It pretty much makes your skin act younger in a sense, and it helps even out the skin tone because you're speeding up that skin cell process. As we age, that process slows down. So when you've got something like retinol, which is scientifically proven to speed up that cellular turnover, it makes your skin much more plump. It promotes collagen production, it evens out the skin tone, it helps get rid of scarring as well. And because we tend to look at our phone, our necks tend to get really deep lines as well, so that's what I've been using it for. However, the lines on my neck are quite deep, so I feel like I would get a much more potent retinol in the future, but I like this just for around the chest area. It was great. Necessary? No, but do I like it? Yes. The lucky last Paula's Choice product that I got was this sunscreen here. It is an SPF of 30 and it is a tinted base. It's called Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense. I made a little story about this, but I'm just going to talk about it again. I freaking love the texture. It's really light. It's almost like a whipped gel texture. I have never used a sunscreen like this before, and I really, really love it. And I wished it didn't have a bloody tint to it. It is a pink tinted sunscreen. And if you look at me, I am not pink, but I have a very olive to golden skin tone base. You know what I mean? But that is the pink tinge to it. Now, if I show you like a clear sunscreen in comparison, let me show you the ultraviolet. There is no pink tint to this. If you compare it, if you sit it side by side to something that's actually not tinted, you can see that it is so pink. I just am so disappointed because the texture is phenomenal. It is incredible for anybody that doesn't like sunscreen. It is incredible for anybody that is allergic to oxybenzone, which tends to be in most mainstream sunscreens. It's an irritating ingredient for a lot of people. And so when you have a physical sunscreen like this, which is zinc based, a lot of people tolerate it much better. So disappointing about the tint because it makes me look really sick. I try to push through with it and just put it on anyway. And the only time I find that it can work for me is when I have makeup on. So for example, if I was to wear this underneath this makeup, you wouldn't see it. It wouldn't matter because the makeup is so full coverage. If you were to wear it just to run errands, go to the supermarket, or wear it on any day you decide you're not wearing makeup, it just makes you look so sick if you've got a skin tone like mine. If you've got a really nice fair complexion, I feel like this would be no issue for you. Next up, this product here by The Ordinary. It's the 7% Glycolic Toner. A lot of people were interested in me reviewing this as well. I didn't hate this product. I haven't had a chance to use it that many times. If you can see it, it is still quite full at the top. The first use, so I'll talk about the first use that I had with this. I loved it. I was like, holy moles, like this could truly be a really fantastic alternative to the Ren toner, which is a lot more money than this. It worked just fine. A lot of people messaged me and said it was really drying for the skin. I didn't find that at all with mine after the first use, and I would only have used it maybe once or twice in that week. I didn't have any issues with it at all. It really made my skin brighter. It evened out the skin tone, and I always get a really weird dry patch here, which I tend to notice once I pop on makeup. It really catches there. After that first use, that dry patch, the next day when I popped makeup on, completely disappeared. So this for me really did the job. It's very straightforward. It just does what it needs to do. A lot of people did message me saying it was really drying for them, and I don't know whether it's in the way that you used it or whether it just doesn't suit your skin type. My skin type is normal to dry. It's not severely dry, so products like exfoliating products really don't affect me too much unless I use it incorrectly. Now, like I mentioned before, there was a phase when I was using the ordinary niacinamide incorrectly, and I was using this, which was way too harsh for my skin, and I was constantly taking off makeup. And then adding this into it, it just burnt my skin completely. Like, I have never really had a long-lasting tingle from using exfoliating products. They usually subside. That sensation of that tingling feeling really subsides after about like a minute or so, maybe even less than that. But there was one night when I used this, and I think it was really when my skin was super inflamed from all those crazy products happening, and I used this, my gosh, it like burned my skin for a very long period of time. That's the only thing I'll say about it, is that if your skin barrier is compromised, if your skin is very sensitive, if you have a lot of redness around the cheeks, around the nose, it is not a product I recommend, and it is not a product I recommend for anybody with eczema or rosacea. Overall, would I recommend it for everyone else? Yes. It's really inexpensive, a really good product to have in the routine. And so imagine having this Paula's Choice BHA and this AHA from The Ordinary. You've got a fantastic combo already, but gets my approval. So another product I have is the Adaptogen Deep Moisture Cream from Youth to the People. Now, before I purchased this, I had made a lot of purchases from Sephora, and each time I had chosen to ask for a little sample of this, because you get to choose your samples when you purchase stuff from Sephora. I asked for this both times, and both times I loved it. It was so, so good. The reason why I love this cream is because it hydrates my skin. I need very, very little product for it to spread. I honestly need about a pea-sized amount for it to spread over my entire face. The texture of it is fantastic. Like I said, it's almost like the Lala whipped cream, but a little bit lighter, but with that same hydration. But I felt like I kept pumping through the Drunk Elephant cream constantly. Whereas this, I'll just use a tiny bit and it just spreads so, so far. But the texture is like that. The texture of this doesn't feel like a rich, thick cream, although it acts like one. So the results you get from it will be the results of a thick, rich cream. However, the texture of it is in no way like that. It doesn't really have any irritating ingredients in there from what I know. You can probably find a cheaper moisturizer than this. From what people have messaged me, they really love the CeraVe moisturizers, and I'll probably try that after I finish this. But for me, this is worth the price tag. I really enjoyed it. Happily pay for it again. But yeah, now we're moving on to makeup.